more that Sigismund's patience ran out.
Why?
Wenceslaus himself sent for Sigismund to help him, and made an agreement with him. And when Sigismund started acting as agreed, Wenceslaus double-crossed him and claimed the agreement was invalid, just because he no longer liked it. What would you have done in Sigismund's place? On the other hand, now we've seen what Sigismund has been getting up to here, it's clear he's no better a sovereign than his brother. And that goes double for Rupert, not to mention Jobst, who might well have his eye on the Bohemian throne too. So, all in all, we're probably best off with the drunkard. Better the devil you know.
And what about Prokop?
Well, he stayed on the king's side, for most of the time at least, largely because they're birds of a feather. He's not keen on governing either, but woe betide anyone who tries to take control away from him. Then he would turn on his own brother, literally. He often behaves like a rebel, just in grander style.
What do you think Sigismund's after?
I'd say he wants to restore the Empire to its glory days under his father, Emperor Charles, which his brother seems incapable of doing. But he's also defending the East against the Turks, and fighting with his own noblemen at home, battling his brother and cousins here, and Rupert and the Meissen nobles in Germany. He has a lot to deal with, and riding roughshod over everyone certainly isn't helping. Mind you, what else is he to do? I think in more settled times he might make quite a good king, but now he's missed his chance.
What about the League of Lords and Bergo? What are their objectives?
Whenever the king is weak, the nobility tries to grab as much as it can. Not for the good of the country, of course, only for themselves. The League of Lords is full of men like that. When the king was captured the first time, They released him only after he nominated them to high office and ceded some of his power to them. Now that he's held captive a second time, they run the country at Sigismund's behest. Bergov is the highest vice-chamberlain in the land. As soon as the king was captured, he declared a pogrom on the Jews and raised the tax dues of towns and monasteries. Watch your step with him.
And what about Rupert of the Palatinate? What does he want?
Rupert? He appointed himself king of the Romans, and ever since then he's been making the tactical moves of a coward who's not sure what to do. If Wenceslaus were a man worth his salt, he'd have dealt with him long ago. But then, if Wenceslaus was any use, he wouldn't be languishing behind bars in Vienna right now.
Good. That was all.
You're welcome. Bear up, and take care of yourself. The world's a dangerous place, and Bergov's a dangerous man. Good luck, then.
So what do you think of it all, Sir Divish?
I think I don't know what to think.
That makes two of us.
If I didn't know anything about Jobst, I'd say he's right and absolutely truthful. But I've heard too much about him already.
Likewise. But I do feel he's the one with the best chance to put things right.
Well, we'll see what we learn from Bergolf. If the League of Lords stands with Sigismund, then our chances pale, in spite of everything Jobst said.
We shall see. We shall see. So, it looks like you're off on a mission.
Yes, I can't wait.
I don't want to dampen your spirits, my boy, but watch out. These are evil times, and who knows what can happen along the way. Not to mention that Bergolf is no saint.
Don't worry.
I know. You've shown you can fend for yourself, but do take care. You'll be traveling as Lord Capon's bodyguard. You'll be there to make sure nothing untoward happens to him. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears wide open. What Berghoff tells you is one thing, but what you see may be quite another.
Rest assured, Father.
And don't get embroiled in anything else. Just hand over the letter, hear out his reply, and return.
Yes.
Very well. Berghoff is at Trotsky Castle. I think you'll find it quite an eye-opener. It's one of the finest castles in the land. It's 3 days' ride from here, so unless you hit a snag along the way, you'll be back soon enough. Any questions?
I'm getting a bit lost in the Luxembourg lineage. It all seems a bit too tangled.
The Luxembourgs have ruled the Empire and Bohemia for almost 100 years now. Emperor Charles brought this land to prominence. When he was in power, things had never been so good. Wenceslaus and Sigismund are his sons, but by different mothers. Jobst and Prokop are their cousins. They were entrusted with governing Moravia. But instead, they've been in a bitter armed feud for years, and now Sigismund's fallen out with Wenceslaus. Wenceslaus also had another brother, the youngest, John of Görlitz, who was most probably poisoned. They seem like a hot-blooded lot. It's hard to keep up with their affairs, since they tend to change their alliances from one day to the next.
I'm a bit concerned so many people seem to think so little of King Wenceslaus. You knew it.
Well, there's no straightforward answer to that question. He certainly makes a great hunting and drinking companion, but he can be very fiery and impetuous when things don't go how he'd like them. He never had much of a head for high office. He finds it tiresome. But once a man's grasped the scepter, it's hard to let it go again. You can't just abscond. You've seen for yourself what happens when he disappears for a few months. Better a bad but legitimate king than a bloody war over the throne.
I don't know all that much about Sigismund.
He's the king's younger brother and king of Hungary in his own right. 7 years ago, he led a crusade against the Turks and was defeated at Nicopolis. Some say it was due to the recklessness of the French knights, most of whom were mercilessly slaughtered. Sigismund is ambitious and capable. He might well make a better ruler than Wenceslaus, but he's arrogant, and to our misfortune, brutal. Not long ago, he himself was held captive by the Hungarian nobility. They dislike him as much as some of the Czech and German noblemen do his brother Wenceslaus. Ironically, Wenceslaus joined forces with Jobst to liberate him. And now this is how Sigismund repays his brother. There's no doubt about it. God does move in mysterious ways.
That young man, Sir John of
The Liechtensteins are a powerful Austrian family, with estates in Austria and Moravia. Sir John sits on Jobst's council. Since the king's being held captive in Vienna, I suppose it makes sense to have a powerful Austrian house as allies. It could be very useful.
Rupert of the Palatinate. That's a name I hadn't heard before today.
Rupert is the Prince-Elector of the Palatinate.
What's a Prince-Elector?
The Prince-Electors are dignitaries of the Holy Roman Empire who have the right to elect the King of the Romans, who would then be crowned Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope. Rupert took the title for himself with the help of 3 other Prince-Electors, even though Wenceslas had already been appointed. Some of the nobility in the empire recognized Rupert's claim, but when he went to Rome to be crowned emperor, it turned into a fiasco. Now he's doing his utmost to get Wenceslas to acknowledge him, but Romans. Jobst sided with Sigismund for a while, but now he switched allegiance. He seems to do that quite a lot.
Who is he really?
The cousin of King Wenceslaus. He's the Margrave of Moravia. I admit I don't know what to make of him myself. Until recently, he was allied with the League of Lords. For a time, he even served Rupert of the Palatinate against the king. And now suddenly, he's reversed his position. I don't know what led him to do it, and one can't help being suspicious. It's best to keep a watchful eye on him. But he really is the leader of the resistance against Sigismund these days. We'll just have to see how it all turns out.
Who is this Prokop that Job spoke of?
Jobst's brother, the king's cousin. He and Jobst warred over Moravian supremacy for years. Then they were allies for a while, betrayed Wenceslas and sided with Rupert of the Palatinate. But after Sigismund abducted Wenceslas, Prokop fomented a revolt against him, and Sigismund had him captured. Politics. Make of it what you will. I, for one, can't make head or tail of it most of the time.
The League of Lords and that Berghoff we're off to see. Who are they?
The lords of the powerful houses. Heinrich of Rosenberg, Otto of Berghoff, Heinrich of Radetz, and others. They're unhappy with the way their influence declined after Wenceslas surrounded himself with the lesser orders of nobility. They abducted the king years ago and made him bow to their will. They got away with it that time, and now they've joined forces with Sigismund and done it again. But now it seems that Sigismund's behavior is starting to rub them up the wrong way, so they may well be thinking twice. We'll see what Berghoff has to say.
That's about all.
Very well. Take the letter from Sir Hanush, and good luck, son.
I believe we have written it well, gentlemen.
Without a doubt. No one could deduce from this whether we are Sigismund's allies or foes.
I must travel back to Brno now, but soon I will go to Brandenburg and I will stop here on the way back. By then, Sir Capon should be back and we can discuss how to proceed.
Right. Before you leave, my lord, there is one thing that gives me no rest. Why did Sigismund come as a foe? It makes no sense.
If I may, sir, I think I can explain.
Oh, please enlighten us, young sir.
I live not far from Hungary, where Sigismund reigns. It is a savage country, and the constant war with the Turks has hardened the people. They need a monarch with an iron hand. So when Sigismund felt the wind of revolt, he reacted as he would at home. Only what works on the Hungarian nobles does not work here in Bohemia.
Bringing order is one thing, but slaughtering and pillaging with a horde of barbarians quite another. What purpose does that serve?
But Sigismund did give the Bohemian nobles a chance to take his side. It was only when they refused his ultimatum that he lost patience and took to the sword.
As for the barbarians, he could afford nothing better. The Hungarian nobility would gain nothing from joining his campaign in Bohemia. He didn't have enough coin for a regular army, and so he recruited the Cumans. What he does not pay them, they make up for in plunder.
But in the end, he didn't have enough to even satisfy the Cumans. That's why he raided Gutenberg and Skalitz. He wanted the silver.
That makes sense.
My lords, how's the letter coming along?
It's done.
Then we can be on our way.
Now remember what we said, boy. All you have to do is deliver the letter, listen to the answer, and come back here. Don't provoke Berghoff in any way.
Provoke? Me? Never, Uncle. We'll be back in a few days. Farewell, your graces. Come, Henry, my men are waiting.
I wish you Godspeed.